to the other big story here on the Urban Debate and on Mirror Now that we've tracking now. Over 72 hours since 2-year-old Sujith Wilson fell into an abandoned borewell near his residence in Trichy. Operations to rescue him are still on. Borewell machines have managed to dig 6 holes with 4.5-inch diameter as deep as 22 feet. According to officials, another 10 feet is supposed to be sand that would make achieving 77 feet a lot easier. The poor child is stuck at about 100 feet into the borewell after he slipped down it, and it's been 72 hours now. Pramod's there. He's been getting us constant updates. It's not an easy task, Pramod. What's the latest on ground? What are the experts saying?
Well, there you could see behind us a lot of people who are working at the situation right now, and even one of the rigs that was actually drilling that has been removed, and another borewell machine is being sent over here. This seems to be the Plan B strategy. Earlier, what has happened is that they used that particular rig, and you could see those kind of drill bits on it, but it could not cut through the rock, which is supposed to be equivalent to that of having the strength of graphite. So that's, granite, and that's the reason they have brought in the this propel system right now, and they claim this borewell systems will make a minimum of 5 holes on the wall, on this rock system with a diameter of 4.5 inches, thereby reducing its strength and helping the bigger rig to break it. So this is the system they are employing right now, but unfortunately, the Sujith has been stuck inside the borewell under 88 feet depth for more than 72 hours. He hasn't had any food, nor water, completely exhausted. The last movement we observed of the child was 2 days back around 7:30 a.m. That was on 26, and since that there is no movement. The health secretary, the health minister, the commissioner for disaster management, everyone are here, and they are constantly feeding us hope, claiming that they will soon retrieve the child. The thing is that right now, the last update from the commissioner for disaster management is that they have dug up to 50 feet, and through this borewell system, they have already made the rock loose for another 15 feet, which they will break with a period of 2 hours, and a maximum of 12 hours. They will reach the depth of 98 feet. This is the calculation they have done, after which they have to transversely dig another tunnel that will be of 3-meter length. Once it is done, they will retrieve Sujith. That's what they're giving us as a time frame, 12 hours plus 6 hours, which means another 18 hours, and only then they can reach Sujith. This is the explanation they have given so far. The same sort of explanation was provided yesterday, day before yesterday, but it didn't turn fruitful. But this time, at least, with all hopes high, people are waiting for Sujith to be rescued.
Pramod, before I bring in our experts, also help us understand and tell us a little bit more about Sujith and his family. How did the child land up in this open borewell in the first place?
Well, Sujith's house right over there in that place, and you could see a blue tarpaulin which is covering it, and that's inside that particular area is where the small dredged borewell with a diameter of 4.5 inches where the child is stuck right now. It's very unfortunate that such a thing has occurred. In fact, the family is still in shock. They could not believe that a borewell they dug a long time back, almost 5 years back, and had to abandon it. They thought they had completely, filled it with sand and made sure that nothing would occur. That borewell would once again come back to causing such a disaster. They believe they are still in shock. So in fact, Sujith's mom had to go through multiple glucose drips because she was completely exhausted. She was the one who was battling and talking to Sujith all the while for almost 24 hours, trying to console him, trying to talk to him. But since 26th morning, 5:30 a.m., there is no movement, and since then the authorities have made not allowing anybody near that area because there is a monitor which actually connected to a camera that is actually monitoring Sujith constantly. We did try to ask certain updates about Sujith's health with the health, health minister and the disaster management secretary, commissioner. They could not provide direct information. They claim that they are concentrating on retrieving Sujith, and once it is done, they will all medical equipment and everything is over here, and they'll give the maximum medical support that is required. That is the only answer we are getting right now. But we also have to understand that 72 precious hours have been lost already, and the calculated time amount itself is coming up to another 12 hours.
Yes, and you know, this is such a challenge. It's not the first time that's happened. For year after year, we see, you know, similar incidents take place to the extent that NDRF actually has an entire SOP. It's a documented, you know, process that they have with them when it comes to incidents regarding borewells. Pramod has been constantly live for us through the day, bringing us non-stop updates. A 2-year-old stranded, stuck in that borewell, operations continuing. Prime Minister Modi himself has tweeted about it. So obviously straight from the PMO to the Chief Minister's office, everybody's tracking what's happening on ground at that place in Trichy. Pramod, thanks so much for bringing us that update. I just want to quickly bring in our experts. Jaswant Singh Gill, retired mining engineer, joining us this evening, and Prashant Gautam, a social activist. And Mr. Gill, if I can start with you first, to try and understand just how tricky these operations are, you know, and why they take so long.
See, it's a very tricky incident and very difficult incident. First of all, I must say that every second month we receive a call that in a borehole the child has fallen. You see, there is a rule, there's a law that all boreholes which are abandoned must be plugged and isolated. Every second month, I give this statement that the government, which if they cannot implement the law, they should not have that law. And if the law is there, it must be implemented. I'm not sure whether any person has been, I mean, say, fined or sent into the jail for not obeying this law. And for the small child, 72 hours is a very, very long period. And I don't know what this 5 feet diameter hole they are drilling, because if you drill the 5 feet diameter holes on the periphery of that hole will collapse and will bury the boy. I don't think it's a feasible system by what they are doing. If I was at the site, I would have given another idea, different idea, as it is there in the mining history. But what they are doing, they must be doing for the best of the child. But 72 hours is a long period, and this process, it may hardly work.
I understand what you're saying. One can only, you know, keep our hopes alive that we're able to save the child on time. Like you said, 72 hours is a long time. I'm looking at, you know, this SOP for borewells that the disaster relief team is usually given, and it also has a breakdown state-wise on where we see maximum number of borewell accidents. And, you know, in that chart, it's actually Tamil Nadu along with Gujarat and Haryana which see maximum number of these incidents. And of course, then you have Andhra Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. But 17% of these borewell incidents take place in the state of Tamil Nadu. At the end of the day, it also, you know, brings us to the question of accountability, Prashant. Accountability of the authorities, accountability of those who are in charge of ensuring these borewells are closed, covered at all times. You know, somehow we are constantly failing on that front.
That is true.
You're
that is
asking
true.
me, or?
See, since 2010, when the Supreme Court order came in, you know,
Yes, Prashant, go ahead,
Supreme
please.
Court order came in, you know, there's been a 2015 government order which was released. So, you know, ever since there's been, you know, since the government order, there has been a clean slate, right? We have not seen any kind of accountability. We have seen that, you know, these borewells are existing and incidents are happening throughout the nation, in fact. So what is needed is the accountability which we are being demanding, not just for, you know, borewells, but for every single thing. Even yesterday, you know, there was a cut and cover drain which was open in Chitlapakam in Chennai, where a car came and, you know, it went into the drain. So such incidents are continuing to happen. So I hope there can be better accountability. Until and unless that is established, there is very little hope that we can see ahead.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, but Prashant, have you seen the government, you know, take notice of it, take any specific steps, even in the state of Tamil Nadu? Today, we had Minister Vijay Bhaskar visit this place right from the central government to the state. Everybody is now responding on Sujith's story, but Sujith's story may have made it to the headlines. Many others don't. This is not the only incident we would have seen in Tamil Nadu just this year.
Exactly, exactly. So that is why we need accountability, because there might be a lot of incidents which have been which have not been reported. But then, you know, those babies or those kids are no less than Sujith, right? So there are a lot of incidents which go unreported. So my issue is today, does the government have any data about the existing borewells in the state? How many borewells have not been closed yet? How many borewells are operational? Because you need to also take into consideration the drought which is happening repeatedly in Tamil Nadu, right? So going forward, you're going to see a lot more borewells which are going to be, not be used, right? Which are going to be open. So the incidents are going to only increase going forward, not go down. So unless and until the government takes strong measures, see, we all have road safety day, road safety week. So in the same manner, why don't we have a safety week for the entire nation, right? Where the officials go and make sure that in their own area, that they can, you know, check out all the broken buildings, broken bridges, you know, electricity poles, everything where, you know, people usually die, right? So why don't they do this? This is a very common thing. And today, after all this happens, there is a call out for, and you know, talking about a helpline being created, you know, talking about, you know, asking inputs from people. So all these things should have been done before. So a village administrative officer, it might take him 1 or 2 days to go and inspect all the borewells and see if everything is in place in his own village. It's not going to take more than that.
Because you raised that point,
Prashant, small thing, and in 2015 there was an order.
Because you raised that point, let me ask Mr. Gill. Mr. Gill, you know, in your own experience, how often has it been that the local authorities actually know about the borewells that exist, know the plan of the borewell, how deep it is, you know, how it's been constructed? Because when there is a need for the disaster relief experts to come in and rescue somebody, you would need all of that information.
See, I'm just hearing that the Supreme Court had said something in 2015. See, whenever you touch the Mother Earth, it comes under the Mining Act. And the Mining Act and the mining laws, these are there for the last more than 1 century. It's not a new thing. So these laws are not being implemented as they should be. And nobody has been taken to task till date. So these things will go on repeating till we start looking forward or looking into the subject and have some introspection that why you are failing for 1 century. It's not a new thing. Supreme Court has done nothing at this time. These laws are there for the last 1 century. And these are Indian laws. So why they are not being implemented? Who is stopping them? So this is my question.
Well, usually it is also the fact that those who become victims, you know, of these incidents are those from the underprivileged background, you know, from the poor section of our society. And perhaps that's also something why it doesn't matter to some of our netas, because their voice, the voice of these victims and these families, barely ever reach those who are in charge. I'm going to thank both of our panelists and experts for joining us as we continue to track this story. It is important to highlight this story because a 2-year-old is stuck in this borewell. Now, while this may have been on a private property in our country, across the country, there are such borewells that exist, there are such open manholes and open drains that exist that are on a daily basis claiming lives, innocent lives, just wasted, lost just like that, for no other reason but the fact that we don't hold our authorities accountable, but for the fact that we don't raise our voice and ask questions on these issues. But for some reason, netas believe it doesn't matter. The idea of bringing the story to you is it can happen to anyone, which is why we must ask these questions. How well prepared are we? How aware are we? And to what extent do we make the local authorities accountable when some of these incidents take place? That's story number 1 here on the Urban Debate at 9 p.m. Let's move on to the second big story. After the multi-crore Punjab Maharashtra cooperative bank scam that left 8 lakh depositors in lurch, This Diwali, Goodwin Gold Scheme scam has rocked the state of Maharashtra. The jewellery gold chain, jeweler chain actually, offered investors alluring investing schemes with high rates of interest, 16 to 18% interest on their fixed deposits. Common middle-class citizens invested their hard-earned money, trusting this jeweler that's been around for over 2 decades. In fact, over 500 investors, we understand for sure, may be losing their money right now because the owners of this jewelry store and chain are underground. Their stores in the state of Maharashtra have been shut down. So people who invested and put their savings into these schemes don't know if they're going to be getting their money back. Now, as of now, basis the statements of 54 different investors, 3 crore rupees is at stake, but authorities believe it could be much, much larger. Now, what am I talking about? Goodwin Jewellers is actually a chain run by Kerala-based brothers, Sunil Kumar and Sudesh Kumar, who are currently on the run. They have about 12 stores just in the state of Maharashtra. Here is what some of the investors had to tell us now when they realized in the last few days just what's gone wrong.
But still they asked me, कि wait, give us the buffer time of 1 month. We need to get the gold. Wherein ऐसे कोई भी ज्वेलर्स के पास वैसा होता नहीं है, बिकॉज हम लोग ने काफ़ी तनिष्क में इन्वेस्ट किया है, चिंतामणि में किया है, बट वहाँ पे कभी नहीं. जैसे ही आपका स्कीम खत्म होता है, the very next day you can go and collect your gold.
1 महीने पहले यहाँ पे आके गया था. उस टाइम पे हमारा मैच्योरिटी खत्म हुआ था. उस टाइम पे हमने पूछा तो बोला कि 1 महीने के बाद आप आ जाओ. उसके बाद हम आपका पेमेंट दे देंगे. उस टाइम पे इन लोग का कुछ भी ऐसा कुछ इंटेंशन नहीं था कि ये लोग बंद करने वाले हैं. दिवाली के 2 दिन पहले आके यहाँ पे देखा तो पूरा शटर डाउन था.
अभी आप देखेंगे तो शॉप कितना बड़ा है, तो कोई भी वही देखेगा कि कितना बड़ा है उनका शॉप. ये सब देख के ही हम लोग करेंगे ना इन्वेस्ट. अभी 22 इयर्स का उनका पुराना बिजनेस है, तो एकदम से 2-3 दिन में उन्होंने शट करके गए, तो इतने 100 लोग आज पैसा इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं.
As investors run pillar to post now to try and recover their investment, fugitive Goodwin brothers have released a video where they are alleging a smear campaign is being run against them. They claim this is all a conspiracy. They have the money. They will return it to the people, that they have not even run away.
एक्चुअली जो बिजनेस में जो क्राइसिस है, हम लोग को भी 100% क्राइसिस है, ना नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, बट हमारे पास असेट है, बहुत सारा असेट है, प्लस प्रोजेक्ट भी है. ये सब ओवरकम करने के लिए हम लोग को ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लगेगा. बट अभी का सिचुएशन में हम लोग को 3 ईयर्स से हम लोग को ख़त्म करने के लिए बहुत टीम हमारा पीछे है. हम लोग सोचा हम लोग सीधा आके 1 घंटा में आके पुलिस में सरेंडर हो जाएगा. तभी अभी हम लोग को मालूम पड़ा ये इन्वेस्टर्स का गेम नहीं है, ये पीछे बहुत बड़ा एक शक्ति है एनिमीज़ का. तभी ये लोग हमारा ऊपर बहुत सारा केस डाल के लॉक करने का करेगा तो किसी को भी 1 रुपया नहीं मिलेगा. तभी ये लोग सक्सेस हो जाता है.
Goodwin Gold Scheme has left investors not just in Maharashtra but across the India worried. Our gold schemes are being offered by a local jeweler regulated? Are jewelers following the guidelines to ensure that your money is safe? How do they safeguard your money or investment? Who's actually the regulator? Is it the Reserve Bank of India? Is it SEBI? Is it the state government, the central government? Whose responsibility is it? And just how safe is your money, especially in a country like India where we love to buy gold as an investment strategy. We love to invest in schemes related to gold. A lot of you would have, gone to your local jeweler or a big brand and said, okay, on a monthly basis, I'm going to give you an X amount of money. I'll pay you in 11-month installments. You pay the 12th installment, and then in return, after a year, you give me some gold. A lot of you others would have probably simply gone to your local jeweler and said, okay, here is my money, put it in a fixed deposit for 1 year. You're giving me 18%. My bank is giving me only 8%. This sounds like a good saving investment scheme. Let's do it. But how many of you bother to find out who's accountable and who's in charge and who will ensure that your money is safe? To answer all of these questions, many of these questions I myself have. I have panelists joining us this evening. Uday Vavikar, Consumer Vice President for Consumer Court Bar Association. Mr. P.V. Subramanian, personal finance expert and CEO of Subramani. Swapnil Kothari, senior lawyer, joins us this evening. Kumar Jain, President of Indian Bullion Jewellers Association. and Dhirendra Kumar, CEO of Value Research. Thank you all for joining us. Let me start with Mr. P.V. Subramanian. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Who regulates these schemes? Who is in charge?
There is no specific regulator, which means all of them are the regulators. There is an RBI, there is SEBI, there is state government, all of them are regulating. Just take a case of RERA, right? So which means the real estate was being regulated by everybody, but then they realized that was not enough. So they brought in a regulator called RERA, and now RERA regulates. When RERA regulates, RERA says if you have given money to a builder, that money has to be kept separate because it's your money for buying a specific property. Earlier, what used to happen is all that money would get into the working capital of the builder. He would use that money to buy another piece of property or pay off some past loan, and that money was getting lost. Now, same thing happens even with the jewelry, right? All the money that people pay gets somewhere into his working capital, he does not earmark it, and suddenly you find these are all Ponzi schemes.
Right.
Because he keeps taking money, then he gets more greedy, he opens up more shops. The end usage of this money could be to buy a real estate instead of just buying gold. So which means you have no clue where your money has gone. So
they're pointing out that fact that they have all of these assets, they have other businesses.
Yeah,
so they're collecting money and literally using it for something else.
Yeah, they're using it for something else. So I see, it is always nice, like if you put money in a mutual fund, you know the regulator is SEBI.
Yes.
Today, if you want to buy gold, there are gold schemes available, which is regulated by SEBI. So you go sign up with a gold ETF or a gold mutual fund and buy 1 gram, 10 grams, whatever you want every month. Based on that, end of the period, you will get a statement saying you have got so much of gold. There's a sovereign gold scheme by the government which gives you interest for the gold that you buy. Why would you skip all that and go to your local jeweler and this happens so regularly?
Yes.
It's not that it's happened for the first time. 2017 one must have happened, 18 one must have happened, 19 one must have happened.
Correct.
Exactly like the PMC. Very often do you see a cooperative bank go FUD. Why do people still go back there?
Right. You know, we had one caller in the evening who had put the money in PMC and saved some with Goodwin. I mean, imagine the disastrous Diwali and festival season that citizen is having, and all because we don't really know what we're getting into, and we don't know who's regulating it, who's in charge. Mr. Jain, who's in charge? Now, if, for example, let's take them, this specific jeweler, if they start a fixed deposit scheme or, you know, a gold scheme where you pay in installments and you get gold at the end of the year, who do they register with? Who is in charge of checking whether Goodwin is doing the right process or not?
बेसिकली ये जो जवाबदारी है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से, मैं 4-5 साल पहले की बात कर रहा हूँ। 4 साल पहले इस पे बहुत बड़े चर्चा हुई थी, बहुत इश्यू बना था। लास्ट में सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने इस पे बैन ले लिया था। उसके बाद सभी जो साउथ के जो ज्वेलर्स है और कुछ महाराष्ट्र के भी है, इन लोगों ने वापस उसको इनिशिएटिव किया और इसके लिए वापस सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से चर्चा हुई थी कि नहीं भाई अपने को ये हमको चाहिए, हम बराबर जवाबदारी से इसको करेंगे, और फिर उसको वापस रेगुलराइज किया है। तो वहीं पे भी उसी समय भी कुछ ऐसी तरह से वारदातें हुई थी, कुछ ज्वेलर्स के साथ में ऐसे कुछ न कुछ गड़बड़ हुई थी, लेकिन क्या मालूम सेंट्रल बैंक के द्वारा सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने वापस उसको स्कीम कर दी, क्योंकि बड़े बड़े जो ज्वेलर्स जितने भी जो चेन शोरूम वाले या बहुत बड़े ज्वेलर्स हैं उनको इस पे ही बेस रहता है। अब प्रॉब्लम क्या आ रहा है कि जो पैसा आता है वो पैसा या तो दूसरे तीसरे चौथे शोरूमों में एडजस्ट हो जाता है या फिर कोई प्रॉपर्टी में वो पैसा जाता है, और जहाँ पे वो दूसरा पैसा ब्लॉक हो जाता है, इसके लिए पूरी स्कीम उनकी फेल हो जाती है। यही प्रॉब्लम आया है कि भाई, और वापस क्या आदमी जो इसमें डालता है उसको भी इंटरेस्ट बना रहता है कि भाई नहीं मेरा ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट आ रहा है। नॉर्मली आज जो गोल्ड मोनेटाइजेशन स्कीम है GMS, उसमें 2.5% इंटरेस्ट आ रहा है, और दूसरी भी ये जो लोग है ये कुछ 15% 16% देते हैं। तो वहाँ आदमी लोभित हो जाता है कि नहीं मेरे को ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट मिल रहा है और इतना बड़ा शोरूम है, ज्वेलरी लगी हुई है, तो क्यों नहीं, कहाँ जाने वाला पैसा, बस ये लोभ में आदमी फंस जाता है। लेकिन जवाबदारी इसमें सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की है, उसके बाद स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की है, और फिर बाद में अगर आप खुद लोभ करते हो तो आपकी भी इक्वली जवाबदारी है। सरकार ने जब बहुत सारी स्कीमें लाई है तो व्हाई डोंट वी गो टू दो स्कीम्स, और अच्छी स्कीम है, आपका पैसा सेफ है, सिक्योर्ड है। सेम पॉलिसी, आपको सोना चाहिए तो सोना देंगे, आपको कैश चाहिए तो उस दिन जिस दिन से आप विड्रॉ करोगे उस दिन से आपको कैश देंगे। सिर्फ एक ही खाली उसमें प्रॉब्लम है कि लॉकिंग पीरियड रहता है 5 years 7 years ऐसा लॉकिंग पीरियड, बट ठीक है, इट्स ओके। वो आपकी सेविंग है, आप उसको कन्वर्ट कीजिए और हैव प्रॉपर इंटरेस्ट, और आपका पैसा सिक्योर्ड है। You don't need to go to any of the jewelers.
So, Mr. Bhavika, let me ask you this question. जैसे कि जयन जी बोल रहे हैं कि इस पे बहुत चर्चा हो चुकी है और ये सोचा गया था कि शायद इसको बैन ही कर दिया जाए, पूरा इलीगल कर दिया जाए, पर वो नहीं हुआ। क्या वो कर देना चाहिए? जब एक्सचेंज ट्रेडेड फंड्स हैं, म्यूचुअल फंड्स हैं और सेफ तरीके हैं, तो क्या ज़रूरी है? क्योंकि ये हम रेगुलेट कितना ही करेंगे, आपके नेबरहुड दुकान में वो आपको क्या ऑफर कर रहा है, कैसे कोई चेक करेगा?
The question, I would say, the greed is the first thing. As a consumer lawyer and a Supreme Court lawyer, I would always look at it, are they really regulated?
Yeah.
Are they really authorized? These are the questions. The answer is they are not. They are neither the financial institution, nor they have been registered, nor they have been allowed. Surprisingly, my study is 35 to 40% of the gold money comes through these schemes. And most of the jewelers are doing it, whether it is Tanishka or whether it is Goodwin. Now, question is, why do you collect the money when you are not a financial institute on an unregulated basis with an interest that you can offer is much more than the other schemes are offering? Is a question, but the common man does not understand. Everybody is crazy about the gold, especially the ladies, and they want, even the men for that matter, and they want to secure themselves. So these schemes become dangerous and they become prey to an unscrupulous exploitation. Under the unfair trade practice, under the Consumer Protection Act 2(1)R, it is absolutely unfair trade practice, be it be Japan Life, be it be your Uday Acharya schemes,
right,
or be it be any schemes where a product has been assured to you or being sold, and a scheme where you double your money itself is definitely unfair trade activity. And therefore, it is therefore one can go to the consumer court and recover this money, because there are several orders. The best was Nila Vasant Raje versus Amog Industries, where the National Commission explains the scheme may be anything. They may keep changing the scheme, but it's an illegal scheme. Where my suggestion is, I buy a phone, mobile phone, Apple phone, or any phone for that matter, or a car. I get the car, I get the mobile phone. Why don't you make a scheme through the bank that you promise us that you will pay interest-free so much money, and we give you the gold first?
No, so
but that doesn't happen. They collect the money,
right,
and then they give you a gold, and then also promise you an interest. That's not correct. And first of all, they are not regulated. There's no permission given. As Mr. Subramaniam said, these are Ponzi schemes. Very rightly said, sir. And therefore, these schemes itself by itself are illegal according to me.
Okay.
And then you are falling prey to such tempting which is offered, and ultimately, of course, there are reputed companies who may be paying back. There are companies who have net worth, but nobody can say surety. The scheme has to be actually a reverse scheme, that 0% interest, we offer you so much gold. These are the schemes. Give them the gold and collect the money through the bank. Why not? See their credit ability.
So let me ask this question then. GIS, it's a very term that is used very loosely. The gold investment schemes, Dhirendra. Is there a differentiation between what is legal and what isn't legal? You see, the biggest of the jewelry brands today, these stores that you have, reputed names, they also offer you various kinds of gold investment schemes. How does a citizen know, how does an investor know what is regulated, what is legitimate, and what isn't? What's technically just a Ponzi scheme?
There's no certificate given, registration not there.
No, these are illegal schemes, and there is a deposit, golden harvest scheme, which of Tanishq was different in terms of, and the moment, an investor gets an opportunity of the lure of high yield, it's simple. Too good to be true, it is unlikely to be true, and that is what gets proven all the time. In fact, the Tanishq scheme was somewhat different, in a sense that they used to give discount on the jewelry of your savings that you accumulate with them over a period of time. And after it was banned, because it is a compliant, legitimate framework, they had to, either register themselves as a NBFC or stop the activity. So in that sense, it is entirely up to investors. Keep off things which is looking too good to be true, because it is unlikely to be true, and you will get all kind of comfort from your neighborhood, from your friends, because that is how Ponzi schemes or the mania gets built up. Some people will get it and they will spread the word, and they will that will be very confidence inspiring, but that is how the whole racket goes on. And so it's pretty straightforward, and it is quite surprising that it is happening at this point when the gold prices have gone up by 22%. So if the underlying was anywhere in the form of gold, then no jeweler will face the issue right now. But the fact is that last 4 or 5 years, despite this 22% gain in gold prices last 1 year, the returns are 7.5% if you look at 3-year, 5-year return, which means that the promise of 14%, 16% or 18%, one will be heavily out of pocket unless somebody is generating substantially higher return on the investment that is mobilized by way of these unregulated deposits. So these are illegal unregulated deposits, period. You are putting your money at your own risk, and quite very likely you will lose it, and that is what is happening.
So the first alarm should be the fact that somebody is offering you 15%, 16%, 18% return.
Yes.
That itself should tell you that no, this is probably a scam.
Yeah, State Bank of India is giving you 8% return.
Correct.
Or slightly less than 8.
Yeah.
And if somebody is giving you 16, it's obvious that the extra 8% is the risk premium that you're paying. Obviously, nobody can pay that kind of interest. If State Bank is paying you 7 or 8, somebody paying you 9 or 10 is still tolerable. But 16 is a clear signal that it is not going to happen.
Okay, so let me just bring in Swapnil Kothari. And Swapnil, there is this law that was cleared actually. It is actually called Banning of Unregulated Deposit Schemes Act 2019. Is that something that applies in these situations? Just to get a sense of what are the legalities that exist currently. If people are duped, what are their options?
Tanvi, I think in this situation, the Indian Penal Code would apply first as far as the criminal activity is concerned, because it's cheating. These people, I'm talking of the instant case, which is the Goodwin Jewellers case.
Right.
Obviously, they've cheated people. They had no intention to repay that kind of money. So IPC would apply there. Now, as far as the banning of unregulated deposit scheme is concerned, that there are certain schedules. There are 2 schedules. The first schedule talks about the 7-8 regulatory authorities, and then the second one also talks about that, if there is any other regulatory body under the statute, under any other statute, this also applies. Now, there is no specific mention of jewelry here or gold or anything of that sort. So the people who came out with this scheme can say that, look, that act does not apply to us. So any offenses under that will not be that. Those sections will not apply to us there. So that is one aspect that they can talk about. And secondly, Tanvi, one of the most important points is here that people, if they are greedy by nature and they invest in a scheme which, promises them the moon, and if they fall for it and if they don't get it, then it is, basically, should I say very cruelly, that it is their funeral. Now, the second aspect is that how do you regulate that? Do you think you need to regulate that? I would think so, that in this country where people still fall for these things, there needs to be a regulation. Now, the banning of unregulated deposit scheme ought to be made applicable to this, taking this particular instance in the case and trying to make it applicable and trying to ensure that the people do not go scot-free and do get punished. Because one of the other important legal aspect which, Tanvi, I would like to mention here is that there is a chance, a very strong chance, of all the people who are dealing with these gold schemes, jewelers, etc., or say any other people who are not regulated by these schemes currently or who do not fall within those 2 schedules, may say that, look, it violates our fundamental right to livelihood, in the sense that, look, I need to run a business, and sometimes my schemes may be very legitimate. Then if tomorrow somebody offers a 9% thing, then in a 9% return, Can you say that this is an illegal scheme? Because 9%, as one of your panelists pointed out, that 8 to 9% seems plausible and seems reasonable. And it's not a scam. And, you know, there is a great chance that I'm a very rich man and I'm offering you these kind of schemes and you invest money in me and I may pay you even 9%. Why tomorrow I'll pay you even 10% returns. So that is one aspect which the courts will have to consider should this ever be constitutionally challenged. Because I'm not sure since July 2019 when this act has come, whether this is constitutionally challenged or not as far as this particular aspect is concerned. And if it's not been challenged, then it has to be made applicable to jewelers. And the jewelers can then say that, look, this needs to be constitutionally challenged and this is invalid, etc., which all lawyers will do.
Correct.
And, you know,
but if I just simplify this,
act.
Swapnil, and say, well, here is a jeweler, and this is their business size, and this is the scheme that they're offering. As a consumer, you know, as an Aam Aadmi, as a layman who doesn't understand the business or the legal intricacies, I would assume they're regulated. So somebody, the RBI or the SEBI is looking at this scheme, somebody has certified this scheme and said, okay, this scheme is good to go. And if you're taking so much money from me, then you are safeguarding it, but having this much of backup. That's what banks do. They're supposed to have this much as backup before they start investing our money elsewhere. So why is that not true for these jewelers, and especially when it is so prevalent, Mr. Bhavekar?
Yeah, in fact, so what Swapnil is saying, fundamental right is affected, I do not agree here. For the simple thing is they are accepting as deposits. Are they registered financial institutes? Answer is no.
No.
Then how are you allowed? If you see the various product schemes, take any products where you take the product on 0% loan or with the incentives, you get the product, bank regulate it, bank gives you the credit for it, and banks collect the interest from you and the installments, EMIs. Financial institute do it. Are they financial institute? The answer is no. Do they have any registration? The answer is no. Therefore, Ponzi deposits it would come. It would also come under unfair trade practices under Consumer Protection Act very strongly. And there's a great deficiency of service because I am your consumer. You are promising me one thing. You are not delivering me what you have promised. You are not doing your contractual obligation as well as you are not covered under the proper statute. You are not regulated. Gone are those days which Swapnil is saying buyers are beware. Today, the Consumer Act is very proactive and so people have gone to the jail with an interim relief orders to the extent of even 3 years. Builders, 7 builders have gone to the jail for not delivering the flats.
Correct.
So therefore, as a strong consumer movement of this country and as a consumer lawyer for last 20 years practicing in Supreme Court, I feel this is nothing but a unfair trade practice to the consumers. This is nothing but a fraud. This is nothing but a illegality which is done, and luring the people with an attractive interest itself is wrong.
And you know, more often than not you will see in such cases, and I understand that some may say it's greed, but I think it's also lack of awareness. You know, people don't have the access to the kind of information that others may do. You don't know. You will see these people, you know, hanging around with celebrities, big faces. Almost all of them will bring in some or the other glamorous person to campaign for them. It's the same for Goodwin. It's been the same, you know, in the previous cases. Most of these Ponzi schemes, whether you see in West Bengal.
Now, for your information, the new change in Consumer Act also bringing these advertisers as well as the person who is representing this advertiser. That act will now come.
And I think they should be made responsible for when they start sharing the stage and, you know, getting all this money and other privileges from these corporates. But Mr. Kothari, I'm coming to you because the fact of the matter is, even in the IMA Ponzi scheme, which, you know, unfolded in Karnataka and here, these people may end up behind bars. But does that mean that people get their money back?
That is another question. Answer that.
Right. Now, Tanvi, you know, as one of the panelists pointed out that about the fundamental rights, that's only an argument that I presented, that could be an argument.
Sure.
I'm not saying that argument is going to be valid because given the very strong consumer movement, given that the buyer beware aspect is diluted to the extent where people do not get fleeced or duped in such instances, especially the instances of Ponzi schemes, that argument of fundamental rights will not hold enough water. That was only an argument that I pointed out, and I would very much want that these deposit schemes should be there. There has to be regulation, and if people are unregulated and they are doing it, or they are not registered, then definitely things like RERA, as you pointed out in cases of real estate builders, etc., everybody will get penalized, especially as far as the unfair trade practice is concerned, even the Consumer Protection Act. Now, as far as the deficiency of service is concerned, definitely, there could be several cases, and, one of the panelists who's a consumer expert will be in a better position to explain that than me. But this is one of the aspects that I'm pointing out, Tanvi, that there is up to a point. See, I'm a very hesitant person when it comes to, regulating, over-regulating things. I'm a little bit hesitant. Now, that's where I may take a little bit of a digression from my learned friend. But overall, when I look at it, Tanvi, I entirely agree with you that people are still naive when it comes to these kind of things, and people still fall for it.
Correct, but this is people's hard-earned money. I don't think there is any such thing as over-regulation. It's our hard-earned money. If you're allowing businesses to flourish, big jewelers, big brands to flourish with these schemes that they're offering, chit fund schemes, Ponzi schemes, whatever investment savings schemes that are not going to work out, and we will end up losing our money. It should not be allowed in our country, and which is why I want to ask you, Mr. Jain, even as an association of jewelers, are these chains acted against? Do you all take it upon yourselves to say, this Goodwin guy is running this kind of a scheme? Obviously, everybody knows about it. Why not flag it off with the authorities and say, this is not allowed and we don't support this?
Absolutely. Right now, only from today morning, it has been announced by India Bullion Jewellers Association to ban the scheme, at the same time to ban all those jewelers who are running the scheme. It was there in the message. So we are doing it. Definitely, it's already been passed.
So do you have a list of these jewelers who are running such schemes?
We don't have it, because as if we have discussed that it is unofficial and illegal. But generally क्या होता है कि भाई मैं मेरे शोरूम में हूँ तो मैं कर रहा हूँ. अच्छा, मेरे पास और भी कई तरीके हैं. मैं कस्टमर आता है तो उसको एक फॉर्म बना के देता हूँ कि भाई आपकी डिपॉजिट आप देते जाइए. We take that as a deposit amount. Though we have a mutual understanding with the customer कि भाई नहीं आपको इंटरेस्ट देंगे, but there is a way out. तो इस तरह से भी होता है. तो ये सब इसके लिए इंडिया बुलियन ज्वेलर्स एसोसिएशन ने आज ही घोषणा की है कि नहीं, इसके लिए ऐसे जो लोग स्कीम
पर अगर कोई जानता है मिस्टर जैन, तो वो आप ही लोग जानते हैं सबसे ज्यादा कि कौन कैसी स्कीम्स चला रहा है आपके एसोसिएशन में, किस लोग क्या क्या ऑफर कर रहे हैं. तो सबसे पहला स्टेप तो आपकी तरफ से आना चाहिए कि हम इसको कैसे रोक सकें, इनको एसोसिएशन से निकालें, ब्लैक लिस्ट करें, इनके अगेंस्ट कैंपेन चलाएं, लोगों को बताएं या पुलिस को बताएं.
यस, इट इज बीन इनिशिएटेड. आज शुरू भी किए, इंडिया बुलियन ज्वेलर्स एसोसिएशन ने घोषणा भी की उसकी कि इस तरह के जो लोग होंगे जो स्कीम चला रहे होंगे उनको तुरंत बर्खास्त किया जाएगा और आने वाले समय में उनके लिए वापस एक नेगेटिविटी मतलब एक नोटिस भी जारी की जाएगी और लोगों को भी इवन कि ज्वेलर्स लोगों को भी इन्फॉर्म किया जाएगा कि इस तरह जो कर रहे हैं आप लोग गलत हैं. लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं जाके इसके रास्ते और बहुत सारे, जैसे कि मैंने अभी आपको कहा कि भाई कस्टमर आया, उसको ऑर्डर फॉर्म बना के दे दिया, आप डिपॉजिट देते जा रहे हो, आज 2000 दिया, कल फिर दूसरा 2000 दिया और ऐसे करके 10 बार दे दिया तो 11 बार मैं आपको फ्री करके दूंगा. तो कहीं ना कहीं कस्टमर की भी गलती है, वो अगर सोचता है. और दूसरा भी इंटरेस्ट की बात की, जैसे सर ने कहा कि भाई 8% जो नॉर्मल सब जगह मिलता है तो 18% वो ले रहा है. तो ये थोड़ी कस्टमर को भी अवेयरनेस चाहिए कि भाई वो जब कहीं आदमी 8, 9, 10% से ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट मिलता नहीं तो 18% किस बार दे रहा है.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Is there a regulatory hurdle here, Dhirendra? It makes sense if I think as a consumer, it's like, getting something on EMIs, except that you only get the product at the end of it. So I have paid 10 or 11 installments and the 12th one, the chain, the retail chain or the jewelry chain is going to pay on my behalf, and then they give me that gold jewelry set. Is that a legitimate scheme?
Okay. I don't think it's a legitimate scheme.
No, it is an illegal and illegitimate scheme.
Okay.
It is.
Yes, Dhirendra.
At all.
Yeah.
And it's a reverse EMI. But as the person from Bullion Association was saying, that it can be packaged differently.
Yeah.
The whole thing can actually be shown as advance paid for a future purchase. And so, people will find, ingenious ways to overcome the law which is there. So, I think one is only left with two things. One is a degree of activism, that somebody who thinks that, he is faced with such a situation, that such a scheme exists, I think he should be walking to the local police station and file an FIR, that here is a deposit mobilization scheme which looks too good to be true, so a lot of people, so that's one. The other is that, creating awareness so that investors or depositors or buyers can keep away from such a scheme. And I think third, on a very macro basis, making legitimate investment is still so cumbersome. You try, you go and buy gold the way you buy chocolates. And if you want to make your investment in a gold ETF or a gold fund or buy the sovereign gold fund, look at the kind of documents, look at the kind of KYC, and look at the kind of, problem which you'll face in terms of ability to liquidate it. However, those sovereign gold bonds issued by the government, which is yielding you exactly as much as return of as the gold plus 2.5%. So you will be able to ride the gains of gold prices, and without any transaction cost. All other forms of gold ownership comes with some transaction cost, making charges, or even the gold funds have their expense ratios. That comes with, and then it comes in a manner that the capital gain, they are exempt from capital gains tax if held for 5 years and more.
Right.
But the lack of awareness, lack of liquidity, and they're very actively traded. So I really wonder that, if somebody's, and it's possible to buy it in smaller units. So investors need to really be aware of this.
We spent a lot of time today when we started researching on it to find out what regulation it comes under, who's the regulator. And I think we kept going around in circles, obviously for the fact because there isn't. It's simply not legal and it shouldn't be allowed. And I don't think, most people know it out there that these schemes are dangerous. Don't fall for it. Even if it gives you a 14%, 15%, there is absolutely no regulation which is there. There is absolutely no safety which is there.
I have a suggestion. Why not you do reverse? Give the gold through the bank.
Yes.
Maintain the take and take 0% interest or whatever interest you want and take the money.
You don't really need it. You already have mutual
You have these schemes with the government.
Exchange traded funds.
Yes, Mr. Subramaniam is right.
Go to ETF, they can go to government bonds.
But Mr. Subramaniam, how many people know about these options? I think we need to do a lot more
scheme in the same way.
About investor awareness.
Maybe SEBI and AMFI should wake up.
We are just about moving from actual obsession about having actual physical gold in our hands to these paper versions of gold investments. So I think it's a long way to go. But the fact of the matter is a lot more has to be done, not just for investor awareness, but also to crack down on these people who are running these schemes so boldly, so openly, associating themselves with the most famous people, glamorous people, openly marketing, campaigning about these schemes, and then having the audacity like these guys to turn around and say, no, we're going to give your money back. Somebody else is trying to malign us. Somebody else is trying to give us a bad name. It's just a social media smear campaign. We are here. We haven't run away. If you haven't run away, why are so many of your shops shut down? All of your shops shut down in Maharashtra. Why are you not able to give the people back their money once the fixed deposits have matured? Why are you hiding wherever it is that you're hiding and releasing videos? We're going to keep a track on this story and continue to get you lots more details on what is right, what isn't, what's legal, and how to safeguard your money. That's the most important part. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation.
But still they asked me कि wait, give us the buffer time of 1 month. We need to get the gold. Wherein ऐसे कोई भी ज्वेलर्स के पास वैसा होता नहीं है, because हम लोग ने काफ़ी तनिष्क में इन्वेस्ट किया है, चिंतामणि में किया है, बट वहाँ पे कभी नहीं. जैसे ही आपका स्कीम खत्म होता है, the very next day you can go and collect your gold.
1 महीने पहले यहाँ पे आके गया था. उस टाइम पे हमारा मैच्योरिटी खत्म हुआ था. उस टाइम पे हमने पूछा तो बोला कि 1 महीने के बाद आप आ जाओ. उसके बाद हम आपका पेमेंट दे देंगे. उस टाइम पे इन लोग का कुछ भी ऐसा कुछ इंटेंशन नहीं था कि ये लोग बंद करने वाले हैं. दिवाली के 2 दिन पहले आके यहाँ पे देखा तो पूरा शटर डाउन था.
अभी आप देखेंगे तो शॉप कितना बड़ा है, तो कोई भी वही देखेगा कि कितना बड़ा है उनका शॉप. ये सब देख के हम लोग करेंगे ना इन्वेस्ट. अभी 22 इयर्स का उनका पुराना बिजनेस है, तो एकदम से 2-3 दिन में उन्होंने शट करके गए, तो इतने 100 लोग आज पैसा इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं.
The most dreaded terrorist in the world, ISIS chief Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi has been killed, bringing an end to an over 5-year hunt for him. After multiple near misses, US Special Operation Forces finally got the man on whose trail they had been since 2014. Here is how that raid went down.
Fighters of an Al-Qaeda-linked group combing through the rubble of what was once the house of ISIS founder and chief Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. killed in a US raid in the Idlib province of northwestern Syria.
The United States brought the world's #1 terrorist leader to justice. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead.
With air support and their elite Special Operations Forces, the US striking on Saturday night in the tiny village of Barisha, while Trump monitored the entire operation from the White House.
عدولي صار صوت قوي كتير. بتفاجأ أنا بفتح باب بطلع هيك بلاقي طيارة بوجهي ما بتعلو ارتفاعها 15 متر على الأرض. وراها طيارة ثانية. يعني الطيارة هي نوع أباتشي هليكوبتر الله أعلم، بس مصدر الطيارة ما عرفنا.
Al-Baghdadi found himself cornered after what has been a 5-year-long hunt for the dreaded terrorists. Overpowered by choppers and high-caliber weapons of the Americans, Al-Baghdadi blew himself up with a suicide vest, with US forces having to rely on DNA to confirm his identity.
A brutal killer, one who has caused so much hardship and death, has violently been eliminated. He will never again harm another innocent man, woman, or child. He died like a dog. He died like a coward. The world is now a much safer place.
Al-Baghdadi was once a member of Al-Qaeda during the US war on terror. In 2013, he broke away from the organization to form an even more radical group, ISIS. He called for a global caliphate, with ISIS territory stretching across parts of Syria and Iraq at its peak. The city of Mosul, where al-Baghdadi formerly lived, lies in ruin. One of the largest cities in ISIS hands is now relieved, yet still scarred by the terror that al-Baghdadi and his men unleashed.
يخلون نقطة واحدة أنه ندعو إلى الله أنه الله ينتقم منه على ما فعل. إيش سوى بينا يكون الله ينتقم منه هو وأعوانه. يعني ما سوينا شيء، نحن قاعدين بيوتنا سالمين كنا.
قتلوا مثل ما يقول حوبة من حوبات هالضحايا اللي راحت بالمنطقة القديمة، واللي لحد الآن جثث لحد الآن تحت الأنقاض بسببه وسبب تنظيمه.
One of the world's most dreaded terrorists is now dead. His group was responsible for killing scores of people in Iraq, Syria, and even across the globe, leaving behind blood on the streets, homes in ruin, scores dead, and children scarred by the horrors of war. This is Viren Ferrao for Mirror Now.
And with that, it's an end to this edition of the Urban Debate. Let's